Inevitably, all this boils down to maximizing production efficiency at all stages. Without that, the impact of disease in finishing stock can be significant. And one of the important aspects of good husbandry concerns how stock are handled, because the welfare of man and beast are paramount.
When you increase stress levels in an animal, then it's going to burn up the energy it has in its muscle, so that when that animal is turned into a meat product, the pH fall won't happen, and you could get what's known as a dark cutter. So at all times, it's best to keep your animals to a totally low stress level. If you have a system in place, maybe put in a few sliding gates, try and put a circular forcing pen in, or a catwalk or something like that, it's going to hugely improve your system. It'll make it an absolute pleasure to work with the cattle. We quite look forward to it now, actually, bizarrely, and it'll keep the stress levels low in the animal. Much better product, less susceptible to disease, and a much happier farmer. We've based our own system here on the recommendations within an SAC report that's actually going to be appended to the back of this DVD. The things to really consider are have solid sides as best as possible so the animal can't see out and get distracted, and preferably have them heading back the direction they came from, so our collecting pen's over there and the cattle come through here and go back in that general direction. Plus a bit of an upward slope is always a good thing as well, we're told. Just to the principle of a forcing pen as well, just a circular forcing pen, because then that's keeping something between you and the animal and keeping you safe, and the animals are happier as well, you know. Cattle are naturally curious by nature, and so when you put them into that collecting pen there, they'll naturally start to come around the corner to find out what's around here. The one thing we could have improved is put a bit of a kink in here and hidden the crate from them, but it's long enough that they can see a way out, so they're usually quite happy.
There's quite a few one-man bands on farms now, with farmers having to work with cattle on their own. So what sort of safety issues should they consider?
Well, absolutely. If you're working with cattle on your own, it's not a very fair fight between a 650 kilo cow and you. So it's really got to work. It's got to work for the animal more than it's got to work with you. For you to be fair, they've got to be happy and they've got to be comfortable in it. There's too many systems are built for man and not beast. So if you can keep the animal separate from you at all times, going in a pen amongst a few cattle on your own, no matter how well you know them, it could go badly wrong. So if you can get them into some sort of forcing pen and get something between you and them as quickly as possible, and then they'll naturally flow through the system after that, hopefully. A very cheap solution to that we've done here is we've put in a wooden catwalk on the inside of the bend here, so that you can get yourself up above the cattle, which means you can manipulate them to get them up here with a bit of coaxing. But if your system's set up well enough, one animal should follow the other. If you've got a long enough race, let the animals do the work and make life easy for yourself.
Does that walkway give you the possibility to treat animals without actually putting them in the crush?
Absolutely. If you can prevent an animal going into the crate, that's when they're in there, they're trapped, and that's when they do start to get nervous. So if you can do a lot of work like fly treatments and so on, and possibly some vaccination work as long as the animals are trapped tightly enough.
If you could turn the clock back and put this system in again, what sort of things would you do differently?
We would probably buy a generator to give us some power. We can still do that, of course, because we're out in the fields here to suit the cattle, you know, the principle being take the mountain to Muhammad as opposed to the other way around. A bigger collecting pen, because we've only a small number of cattle here, but the collecting pen is still tight enough. But most importantly, I would probably put a kink in there and hide the crate from the animal coming up through, and maybe put another curve in there, and that would mean pulling the whole thing back and making it a lot bigger. So it's not perfect.
Yvette tells me a roof.
Yeah, that's right, but I tend to think waterproofs are cheaper.